Hey everybody, Jordan from Back Society here. Do me a favor and click that subscribe button below and hit the bell icon so you don't miss a single episode. Now, back to grinding.
I thought you said the last one you were really mad about, and you thought Luis Elizondo lost all credibility.
Yeah, dude, I couldn't believe when I saw that, dude. How did Luis Elizondo make you lose faith?
How did he lose you as a super fan?
That was like the Messiah.
Okay, because in reality, like, what are these meetings for?
The talk.
They can't say anything unless you're in a skiff. Nobody can hear anything unless you have credentials. So it's like, yo, what are we sitting here proving for? Nobody's gonna come out and whistle blow anything because they're all afraid of their life. It's so evident, it's so obvious.
They also never really show anything tangible.
But
I mean, Mexico showed us at least the mummies, you know.
They don't show anything tangible. But I tell you what, though,
they showed something. Okay.
I tell you what,
cakes.
the Congress people that were asking the questions were asking very good questions. They asked a lot of good questions.
I don't understand. Are you saying the Congress people are asking better questions than Joe Rogan did?
But isn't it more of a show because they know they can't answer?
Yeah, I mean that's what 100% is. It's like,
so then what are we really doing here?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, yo, what are we really doing here? And then on the other side, on the UFO side, it's gotten so circus-esque because it's just like what you would say, Chris. I know something you don't know.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's how all these conspiracy groups act, man. This is how they always are.
And then people get butthurt. People get butthurt if they're not the first one to break it or if they don't get credit to break it. Like Jeremy Corbell, he cried because what's his name? Mitch, the Mace, whatever, the Congress lady,
Nancy Mace.
Nancy Mace
gave credit to the other guy, Michael
Schellenberger.
Yeah, she gave credit to Michael Schellenberger over disclosing the UFO program that they have, and Jeremy Corbell got hurt. He was hurt. He started crying.
Well,
it was like that.
This is their niche. This is their clout niche, man.
Wait, what do you mean he was crying? What was he crying on? Like he make a video or something?
So yeah, he was pretty mad. So like, all right, Michael Schellenberger investigate. Well, everybody knows, right? So the Congress or the Pentagon, right? Their UFO program is called the Immaculate Conception. No, Immaculate Constellation. My bad. Immaculate Constellation.
I was gonna say, dude.
I know. So it was, but it was hush hush. Nobody knew, But if you do investigating, you figure it out. Da 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 da. Michael, what's the guy's name?
Schellenberger.
He's the one that broke the story, but Jeremy Corbell knew. Everybody knew about it. That was in the know, that knew about it, and gave it to the Congress people at that hearing. And then Nancy Mace, whatever, gave him the credit instead of Jeremy Corbell, and he started crying, and it was bad, and it wasn't. And I'm like, dude, what?
That's so fucking sad at the end of the day, man.
But here's another thing too, right?
So, Scott, these are your people, dude.
I know, man.
These are your people, dude.
I know.
I mean, at least with that crying, you know what they really think is important.
So we in Luis Elizondo, right? He wrote this book, right? And the one Congress lady was like, okay, has there been abductions or has there been hybrids with these creatures? Because when you get the abductions, they say, yeah, I have a kid or whatever by them. All four of them on the panel were like, nope, 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 nope. And I'm like, bro, you wrote a book and like you had a chapter about this, and you're gonna sit there and tell them no?
Dude, that's what I'm saying. I've read a lot of stuff where he contradicts himself all the time.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? After that,
He's done.
I was like, Lou, all right,
You're
yeah.
cut
I
off,
told you.
Lou. You're
I
cut
tried to tell
off.
you, man. Lou is not as credible as people want him to be. And then that calls into question your boy Danny Sheehan.
You know what?
He thought
You
about
know
this.
what? You know what? I do question Danny Sheehan because this guy,
The house of cards is fallen.
he knows everything. He's been with everything, with every conspiracy, and then it's just they are so there are people talk about him. They say he's a spy. They say
Spy for who?
I I don't know.
I'm looking
They
at this
say-
guy's picture, and he looks like someone out of like a British drama.
Not just that too, is that they not maybe not like a spy from a different different country, but they said something about him being a spy for Jesuits, and I don't know what a I don't know what
Yeah.
that is.
So
Jesuits?
he
What?
did work for the Jesuits for a long time. Like
Yeah,
a
I don't know
long
what that
time.
is. And
That's the Catholic priesthood, like brotherhood.
Yeah.
oh,
Like like all the schools are Jesuit. Like remember how like our school was the Varian Brothers?
Mhm.
yeah,
The Jesuits, it's just a really big one.
Yeah, it's an order of like bishops and priests.
Yeah, and it's really big. They have a lot of power, like in DC. And he worked on
really?
their like policy team. That's how he kind of like made his way into like DC circles. I listened to he said this to one of his in the podcast and gave his whole background on like the Jesuit stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
a lot of people that are smart, at least smarter than me, say he's a spy for them, and that there's other, so like the government is so big, and they all have, they could all have factions of one another, and they're all talking about like a rogue faction is doing this or a rogue faction.
I just
that.
the issue with my story, like you said, is he seemed to be in everything, which just
Yeah,
doesn't make sense to
it
me.
doesn't make sense.
Like statistically, it seems very improbable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But somehow he's at the center of everything. The center of everything. It's just like, bro, there's no way.
And that was another thing too, is I guess Lou Elizondo. No.
Oh no! No, not it, you mentioned Lou Elizondo too much.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. But I guess a lot of people are like, I think also too with Danny Sheehan is that he's losing a lot of like these whistleblowers. Like he's a lawyer, and in the beginning, a lot of whistleblowers would go to him, but now they're all like starting to leave him.
It's
Like
heartbreaking.
Because I think he's not doing anything.
he's probably not doing anything.
He's just
and
using them for like
information.
like credibility as well.
Yeah. Oh, that could be true.
I would say
yeah,
more
that's
for
probably true.
credibility.
You
But
know?
it's just like it's also it could be scary, right? Because like say you're a whistleblower, right? And then like you're like, oh, because this is what Arrow did, right? The you know what Arrow is, right? So
Yeah.
like Arrow would be like, okay, you whistleblowers, you guys come to us, you guys tell us what you know. They know if you go to Arrow and you are a whistleblower, they know who you are, they know your identity, they know what you're gonna say, and then they turn to the media and be like, oh no, we don't know, no whistleblowers are coming out to us, but secretly they know who the whistleblowers are, and it's just like, if you say anything, we will do, you know what I mean? We'll just fire you, get rid of your pension, all that stuff, and make your life terrible to live in.
Yeah, but like, who are these whistleblowers anyway?
It's just like these people. Like, okay, so like the one
Like,
thing,
there's all these people that claim to know all these whistleblowers, but they're not really whistleblowers. They're just people who know stuff, supposedly, but they're not actually
Supposedly.
like blowing the whistle on anybody.
but okay, like Bob Lazar, right? Bob Lazar is the best whistleblower. He's the best whistleblower because he actually worked. He was hands on deck, right? Those are if you believe his story.
Yeah, I was gonna
If you
say.
believe the story.
I don't. There's definitely certain aspects of his story that I do not believe,
Right, and that's
like that his phone was tapped and they
it,
caught his wife cheating on him.
it probably dude, it probably was.
It's a compelling story. I'll give you that. It's a nice story.
It's a good story, but like at the end of the, if his phone was tapped, that means he signed a consent to monitor from the government, and they would not have listened to his wife. Like I don't know. There's just certain things where I'm like, I just don't buy some of this stuff.
I think too is that I think too is like oh, he signed something and the government now has no like when you deal with these people, they can do whatever they want. Your privacy is not, there is no privacy. There is no privacy. They know exactly what you're doing all the time, whenever. You don't have to sign anything.
Well, no, you do technically have to sign stuff.
Okay, maybe. but I'm just saying.
I mean, I have I have experience with how the government works in these situations. Now, in the 80s, it was probably a little bit less restricted, but like at these things, man, like now he could have signed stuff and not known what he was signing. I believe that way more so than just they were secretly doing all this stuff.
I just Googled like Bob Lazar just to get a refresher, and one of the things that popped up was his 1980 arrest for aiding and abetting a prostitution ring. What the fuck?
But
I don't remember that in his story.
I barely got convicted for it.
But I remember too, and I think in Nevada is the only state where that's legal, right?
Nevada, I think Las Vegas specifically. I don't know if the whole state.
But I do know in the court, like this was confirmed. Was remember how like a couple episodes ago we were talking about Robert Bigelow?
Yeah, yeah.
So Robert Bigelow was trying to get the UFO. So Lockheed Martin has a UFO, and they agreed. They agreed. This was in the court or on the Congress or whatever. But even though they say it, under oath, you still don't know if it's true or not.
Right.
But they agreed. So Lockheed Martin was going to move their UFO over to Robert Bigelow so they could study it.
Yeah.
But the CIA intervened and said no and cut it.
Yeah, that's where you lose me with the CIA.
Dude, I mean, like if you do any, but at the same time, if you do like any like hardcore research on the UFO, it's CIA over. It is the CIA. I mean, when they talk
the
about
CIA is a popular target for everything,
dude, because they do so much. They're the central intelligence. They know everything.
Yeah,
like that's their job. It's their job to know everything.
Their job is to inform the president on policy, to provide him intelligence to make policy decisions. That's their job, technically.
Do they need guns to do their job?
They don't carry guns.
When you think of Men in Black, who do you think of?
Will Smith.
Oh, I think of the other guy, Tommy Lee.
Tommy Lee Jones.
I mean, he was definitely the cooler guy, but like the Men in Black was just like they were like they weren't really like an American
FBI carries
thing.
Guns.
Who does?
The FBI carries guns.
Yeah,
but they're like, law enforcement officers. I'm not saying CIA agents don't carry guns in certain areas, but they're not like walking around the streets in America.
No, I mean,
guns.
like I've watched American Dad, and he always was carrying a gun.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, American Dad. Yeah, that makes sense. Now I understand where Scott's getting all of his information from.
Did you know
I get it from Roger, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about the transfer of the UFO stuff. I don't know, man. It's just like everything just keeps getting like more convoluted, and all these like secret deals that were like shut down and blah blah blah.
No, that's just the one that I know. But
I mean, it's just like the thing is that the story is kind of becoming cliche,
Yeah.
It's all like the same theme, the same problems, and like especially during last hearing when they couldn't provide really anything anymore. It just seems like it's just all a story.
Well, I mean, they had David Grush, but they couldn't get Grush. They couldn't. David Grush couldn't talk to these people in the skiff because it was denied. That's the problem. It's like, I think what's going to end up. This is what I think it's going to end up happening because that program, Immaculate Constellation, got leaked. What I think is going to end up happening in the next year or two is there going to be some 16-year-old kid that's just going to hack their system, just leak everything. Because you got so much pressure that people just, I think people are just going to stop caring. Stop, like, they're just not going to care about their NDAs, see what happens, you know? Which makes it, to me, it's a weird dynamic. It's like, how can you be in Congress under oath and then be like, yeah, I'm not allowed to talk about this? I'll be like, what do you mean you're not allowed to talk about this? This is why we're here.
These are under oath. They can't lie.
Hey, I
But
mean, just because you're under oath doesn't mean that nothing rescinds your agreement to keep things secret
I know they just love
and classified.
suppressing information.
And not to mention, once you spill all your secrets, man, people are gonna be done with you, man. There's nothing keeping your cloud up anymore.
No. What it is, it's like, so the UFO phenomena is real. It's just that you have all these other big countries that have it too. And so if these UFO things are 100 years ahead of our time, you don't want to give that technology edge to any of our competitive countries. That's really where it's at. That's what it is. That's why they, like, it will never get like fully leaked because
I
of,
think if that was the case, then you would see some other countries who have like nothing kind of come out of nowhere.
like, Wakanda.
Yeah, exactly. Like Wakanda.
Well, what do you say out of nowhere? Like, look at China, or look at Dubai in the past. Look at Dubai in the past like 20 years.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about like from like a technology standpoint. Like they would become so formidable so quickly because they're, you know, reverse engineering these things. Like if they had them, why would they just like kind of slow themselves down when they could get an advantageous edge on a competitor?
Well, that's the thing, right? It's because it's so beyond. It's like 100, 200 years ahead of us that
Yeah, but if
no,
it's so beyond and like a small country gets this, like Brazil, for example,
yeah.
right? They've had some stuff. Dude, Brazil has no reason to not utilize that to become a more powerful nation, but they haven't.
Yeah, because they haven't been able to reverse reverse engineer it.
But then they have no reason to not share it. If they can't do it, somebody needs to.
But you know what though? But you know what? I'm glad you did say that, because really it's only America that's really has a stronghold on, like, every other country, like you said, like Brazil, like their government fully acknowledges it. It's really only America that doesn't.
Well, they fully acknowledge it, but nobody has ever admitted to having anything in their possession.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Except for Mexico and those cake mummies.
I want to believe.
But those Kate.
I want to believe. Like you
But
guys are gonna feel silly when it turns out they're actually real aliens. I'm just saying.
I think they are. I think they are.
Mexican
Hell
ones?
yes. I want to
Look,
believe. Like
I
it's
think
just like we all know aliens exist, right? We just want to see them. That's all. That's it.
I think they're called Peru mummies. There was like a big like Congress meeting, not Congress, but like a big like meeting like a couple of weeks ago about it. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Look, in Brazil, if a UFO goes down in Brazil, the USFA goes and grabs it.
The USAF.
What did I say?
USSA.
You said USFA. The Force of Air. It's the Air Force. AF.
They go and grab it.
That was just Virginia. That there was ever any evidence that potentially happened. I don't know, man. I want to believe so bad, but I just feel like the more these things happen, the more I'm like, man, some of these guys just seem like full of shit. Like they've stumbled upon stuff that they maybe can't explain, and I think is interesting, but they also want to believe. And now it's just like it's becoming a farce almost.
I
Like
can't
these
wait.
hearings are just a waste of time.
That's what it seems like. Like they're auditioning for the next season of Ancient Aliens. It seems like.
Yeah, that's really what it is. It's like who can get a show first on History Channel?
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree with you. That's why I'm like, yo, I'm
Because
done with it.
my big thing is like if Congress wanted to know, they could just reach out to the right people and get briefed on it.
I guess they tried, and they said they don't know who the right people are.
The show is still actually going on.
Well then can't these testimonial, these witnesses, couldn't they just give them the POCs to go reach out to?
David Grush gave them who to reach out that were good and bad. I forget the terms that he used. But that's the problem, is that they learned so much from David Grush, but they didn't put any of that into like action or anything.
I want you to know Lou Elizondo was on last year's season of Ancient Aliens.
Nailed it. ancient astronaut theorists believe that
I wonder if David Grush was.
Lou Elizondo full of shit.
David Grush is not. David Grush would never.
I'm sorry, but if he's on it, I'm gonna freaking die.
All right, but he would never. David Grush is not that.
My
guy.
big issue with David Grush was like when he went on Rogan and stuff. He seems like he wants to be a martyr. Like he seems to be kind of leaning into it. He's like, my family's been destroyed. I wouldn't do this to myself, and blah blah blah. And but dude, somehow I'm this magical guy who rose all the way up into the government and did this stuff. And it's just like I don't. Part of his story just seems like not real to me.
Understandable.
Yeah, I don't know. And then it just seems like he wants to be like the face of it.
No, because since his hearing in Congress that in July of last year, he's disappeared.
Yeah, because I don't think he's got really anything.
He said he did his job. His job was to go and see if they had UFOs and then inform Congress. That was his job. His job's over.
No, his job was to investigate people who have claimed to have seen UFOs. And then he tried to be a whistleblower and got released from the government.
He didn't get released.
He was relieved. Yeah, he got fired.
I think he still works for the government.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think he would at that point, man.
Based on what he was saying was that he left the government. Because he's a martyr. Because he's bigger than all this. That's my issue with David Grush.
I think you're reading too much into it. Nah, he's still.
Just like we want to believe in aliens, you want to believe in him.
Well, I mean, his job was tasked to do what he did. Say with Lou Elizondo,
who was on Ancient Aliens.
Yeah, but Lou Elizondo, like people still contradict what he says that he did. Nobody really contradicts Grush. Like I think Grush probably heard some stuff that was crazy.
You don't think Grush was read in?
I think he was probably read into certain things.
You don't think he was read into the crash retrieval program?
I don't know. I doubt it. Not from he worked for the DOD. Like just because you work for the DOD, like there's other, because they claim that like the CIA and all those other people have different crash retrieval programs.
Yeah.
Like those external agencies aren't gonna just read you in.
Yeah,
even they don't fall under the DOD purview.
Mm-hmm.
Luis Elizondo was. They said he said he was read in.
He said a lot of things. He also said he was the head of ATIP and ALSAP, and people were like, no, he actually wasn't. So I don't know. I don't know, man.
Aliens.
Yeah, exactly.
Aliens.
Ancient astronaut theorists.
Ancient astronaut theorists agree.
Oh my god, dude. I love that show so much.
But you know what though? How can you
It got
sit there?
old so quickly though, dude. I was watching the shit out of it in cops. I'm like, these people are
I-
fucking bullshitting.
I
I
would believe.
love it.
I would believe aliens built the Aliens built.
We can hear you.
Aliens built the pyramids before I would say that Egypt in 4000 with slaves using rams built the pyramid.
Well, they didn't use slaves.
They
Well, they
used
didn't-
laborers.
It was contract
they didn't-
work.
No, they didn't use anything because they didn't build them. So
It was
doesn't matter.
contract work.
Thank you.
Look, if
'cause
we-
they
There's
didn't
no,
build
the
them.
Egyptians did not do it.
Egyptians did not do it. They found them and they lived there.
I mean, we have a guy from like. I'm just saying, we have a guy from over 2,000 years ago that says Egypt built them. The Egyptians built them.
Which guy?
Herodotus.
Yeah, but, they also said some other shit that's not true.
He did say some shit that wasn't true, but like this wasn't like gods. He said the Egyptians
Incredible.
just built them with ramps and ramparts.
Not credible.
Well, he was told by the Egyptians that's what they did.
Well, if the Egyptians say they built it, why not? I mean, wouldn't they say like, oh, the gods and all that shit?
It's just I don't buy it.
My thing is,
If you can't take it from ancient people, I don't know what to say. Usually,
Yeah, if you
ancient
can't
people
take it
usually
from
like to give it
ancient
up to something
people,
else, but if they
how
say
can
they
you-
did it,
you don't take it from ancient people, bro. You don't take it from. You take it from the people in the 1800s from Britain or whatever that was
I
like,
don't know.
oh, this is what it is.
I don't buy it.
I don't buy it neither.
I don't think the people from the fucking British and French archaeologists from the
There's no
1800s
real-
would say it was
it's
aliens
just
though.
The ramps would have had to have been so big and
So long.
long.
Is it hard to
and there's-
believe that
there's
we
no
have
evidence
just some
of them.
lost knowledge? We don't even know how to make Greek fire, and that was a far
That's
shorter
oil.
time.
No, we are saying there's lost knowledge, and we're saying that it was before the Egyptians. They stumbled
How do
upon.
you know
Now,
the Egyptians just didn't have it?
I think the Egyptians probably used them and modified them to their own whatever.
You can like
No, because
follow
step
the
pyramids,
process
no,
of how the
because-
Great Pyramids were eventually formed, from like mastabas to the Step
But
Pyramid.
the step
to the
pyramids
Great
got
Pyramid.
worse. The pyramids over time got worse. They degraded over time.
There's hundreds upon hundreds of pyramids.
No, it means like the knowledge was being lost over hundreds.
The Step Pyramid was first.
I would say the step pyramids were them trying to recreate the Great Pyramids.
And I would have to agree with that.
Then where did the mastabas come from?
Them trying, bro. They stumbled upon it, brother.
The
They're like, "Man,
mastabas
how
was
do
not
we
even a
build these?"
pyramid, but you can see how it started from there to the Step Pyramid, to the Bent Pyramid, and then to the Great Pyramid.
No, you could say, I have this great pyramid. Let me build these other tiny little pyramids.
So they're just like,
because these are
okay,
really
we have
cool.
this great pyramid. How about we just throw people in a hole and put a rock over it? How about we start stacking the rocks? It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
It does make sense.
How
They
does
have-
it?
they
How?
have because they had a
Why is the
very
Step Pyramid attributed and had a body of a dude who's far older than Khafre and Khufu?
First
Bro,
of all,
Yet
first
Khafre
of
and
all-
no,
Khufu had their names.
no, they did
No,
not.
they did not. That's
Yes, they did.
There was one guy found what he thought was graffiti saying that, and then they said actually they think that he put that there.
Then why wouldn't he have done the same for like the other pyramids, like the Step Pyramid or something, which is older than the Great Pyramid?
We don't know it's older. There's no proof that they're older. You can't date them.
you can't carbon date stone.
Once again, you could see like the process of it building up to the Great Pyramid. There's
No, you can see
hundreds
the
of
process
pyramids. You
of-
can sort them.
No,
You can't
see
just
the
say like
process.
Great Pyramid and then everyone just kind of just got worse, and then we
Yeah.
ended up
yeah, that's
with mastabas for some reason.
No, the Great Pyramid was there, and they wanted to try to recreate them, and that's why they started with the mastabas, and then they made it their way up.
Then why was
They
the
never
process so much worse?
because they didn't
It was
build them
so
in the
much
first
more.
place.
I'm
They were
Because
trying
they
to.
fine.
didn't build the pyramids. You're answering your own question.
But they did build the
built
pyramids.
No.
Yes. Why? Who? If someone else built the pyramids, why was that the only thing there? Why was it just the pyramids? Why
The
was
We
it?
don't know it was the only thing
The
there.
Sphinx? You think? Hold on, time out. Do you think they built the? You think the Egyptians built the Sphinx?
Yeah, probably with leftovers from the Great Pyramid.
All right, look, hold on. Listen, you got to understand this too, right?
You got Zahil Was over here just making shit up.
I mean, like, I don't
You gotta
know. I kind of trust him more than you guys.
No, you have to. You have to. You have
Maybe
to
if you
think
watch
in
more
their
Rogan.
language. You have to look. Where were their stars aligned? That was their language.
Yeah,
was the
Orion's
heavens
belts,
above.
right? Yeah, most ancient people followed the stars.
But then
it's
even
nothing
with
new.
but even with the Sphinx, right? It was facing the constellation Leo.
Okay.
Right? How long ago was all of that like match up?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that one of the things where, like, based on the timing and the location of the stars, they would have to be older? Then they like. I don't really know the star thing, but
No,
I think
that is
the
that
argument is if they were built at a certain time representing these certain constellations, they would actually had to have been built like 6,000 years beforehand
yes,
to match the stars in the right part of the sky.
exactly. Because that was their
That's
language.
the argument. I don't really believe that one.
No, but I mean, like, that is their language, Joe. As above, so below. As within, so without. Story of the heavens. You know, it's so.
Yeah,
It's
stories that
hold
permeate
on
through
though.
a massive amount of ancient civilizations. They're all relatively the same.
Hold on, say that again. Are you saying like most of these ancient civilizations are the same?
No, they come up with some similar ideals. Yeah, because it's
Maybe
mostly
because
the same.
there's a source. Maybe because there was a source to it.
Maybe because we're humans and we have the same thinking patterns.
Or maybe the source is the humans.
Older humans.
Older
Ooh.
humans. Yeah. I mean, we all came from Africa, right?
No, nobody knows.
You don't believe we all
Nobody
came from
knows.
Mother Africa?
No, because they keep saying like, oh, there was Native Americans in 300,000. And look, it keeps going back further and further back. You just need
Who's
to
pushing them
update
further and further back? Graham Hancock?
archaeologists, the archaeologists. Look,
I mean, they have pushed the
Dennis
dates back.
they keep pushing them
of
back.
humans in North America.
But listen,
'Cause
Jordan,
the Clovis people, and then it was the Denisovans before them.
Jordan, you just need to
Um,
update your
spell that.
software on
Yeah.
ancient Egyptian. You got to update your software.
I did.
It's not.
They built the Great Pyramid.
There's no real evidence for that.
There's no real evidence an ancient civilization did it.
What
Just
about
the same amount of evidence.
No, far
about
less.
the
I mean, we
ziggurats?
have ancient scholars that said, "Oh, the Egyptians built these great pyramids. It was really awesome." There's no
All of
they're not
mention
Egyptian
of
scholars.
anything. I mean, people want to believe Atlantis exists, but it came from Plato. Even though Herodotus predated him, but we don't want to believe Herodotus, but we can believe Plato.
Hold on, there is. I told you, Atlantis came from Egypt.
What?
Atlantis came from Egypt.
Oh, you're talking about Solon, right?
No, not Solon. I mean, like, yeah, Solon, but they also have a hieroglyphics. Oh my God! Hold on, let me dive deep.
He's thinking of the Bronze Age collapse. That's usually where those stories came from.
No,
It was usually to rationalize what happened during the Bronze Age collapse, like what happened to the Mycenaean Greeks and shit.
How about if you let me actually talk?
Okay.
I don't know what he's talking about here.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I'm not tracking this whole thing.
No, because what happened is like Egypt has hieroglyphic story engraved at a temple where it's like, oh, we are the sub colony of whatever of Atlantis or something. It's called the Temple of Edfu. The Temple of Edfu, EDFU. It's located on the far south of Egypt, and that is where they get Atlantis from. I know.
All right, I'll have to do some research here.
Dude, come on, man.
The Temple of Horus.
Yeah, the Temple of Horus and Ed.
So he's known as the common Greeks.
No, I told you it's called the Temple.
Edfu was one of the several temples built during the Ptolemaic kingdom. Oh, okay.
What does it say? It says the Temple
It was built when Egypt wasn't even ruled by Egyptians anymore.
Yeah. They're ruled by the Greeks.
Yeah. So I wouldn't put too much stock in that. That was when the Greek was trying to Hellenize Egypt.
Oh, is that what they said? The Temple. Hold on. We find a fascinating myth which bears some similarities.
It was built during Herodotus' time. Wow.
Oh. So
maybe we should trust Herodotus.
Maybe. I mean, but let's look at this, right? Let's look at this. So much time has passed. Nobody knows really what is going on. All we know is that we cannot recreate the pyramids.
I mean, Herodotus thought it was pretty easy to.
Oh, then how come he didn't do it?
Because he's because he's just a historical. He was just a history guy. He's the grandfather of history.
I mean, if you think about it, it's like I think we understand how they could have been built, like the theory behind it. I just don't see how they could have done it back then with the simple tools that they had.
I mean, that's fine, but it doesn't mean like they didn't do it.
But it also doesn't mean they did do it.
But isn't it more plausible they just did it and we just don't know how?
No. I mean,
instead of just leaning on, there's just some ancient mysterious people we don't know about who are super
than what
advanced.
people say.
It seems a little
I would
more
say,
of a stretch.
I think if people said, "Hey, I think they did it, but we don't know how," most people say, "Oh, they did do it, and this is how they did it." That's where people get mad because it's like there's no way they could have done that like that.
I just feel like it's just such a disservice to say they didn't do it
so far. Those huge stones and like wetting the sand. How much water would they have had to carry to wet the sand for those giant stones? They have to come back with water. It would have taken forever.
Of course it would. I mean,
but then they claimed that they built it in 20 years.
Bro, the fact is that this Jordan, the fact that your curiosity you don't have a red flag that goes off it's crazy to me. Like there's zero red flag that there is going off that you just believe.
You know what? You're right, dude. I think it was aliens. You've convinced me. That seems way more plausible. If we're just using logic, then it was aliens. Maybe with some anti-gravity. I don't know. Probably Receptor. Maybe the Atlanteans, the lizard people. I mean, it seems way more plausible.
Hey, careful. Hey, we can't talk about this here. We gotta go on the skiff. Right?
It would make more sense.
Yeah, it would make more sense. You're right.
Than the way you propose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's
I
no.
think it's the reptilians, dude.
There's no hold on. Like, do you not have that? Like, when you're thinking of certain things, like
that I should think it's like some ancient civilization I've never heard of that no one has any evidence of, or
no, there's no curiosity.
Of course, there's curiosity, man. Of course there is, but I'm not going to be like a civilization that survived for like 6,000 years couldn't have built the Great Pyramid.
You had some 1800 British guy knew nothing about the Egyptian culture, shove this Egyptian culture down your throat, and you take it as gospel.
I don't get it, dude. Herodotus 2,000 years ago said they built it. The Romans say they built it. Bro. The Egyptians say they built it.
There's no there's no red flag that's just like, hold on.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. A guy from 2,000 years ago said, hey, the Egyptians built the Great Pyramid. The Egyptians say, hey, we built the Great Pyramid. The Romans from thousands of years ago say, hey, they built the Great Pyramid. It's pretty cool. Alexander's own generals say, hey, Egypt built the Great Pyramids. I don't know why this is causing red flags.
Already around for like 2,000 years.
Huh?
Yeah.
by the time these guys said that the Egyptians built it, they're just basing it off what the Egyptians say. They don't know.
They don't know, but it's not like a British guy from 1800s is just saying it. You know, that's what I'm getting at.
Oh, we got you. I didn't know that's what you were trying to argue against. I don't know what he's talking about with this British guy, but
like the British guys during the 1800s excavations, that's all they were mostly doing was just trying to figure out what was happening because, you know, Egypt phobia came back after
I think what they
after
were
the
trying to do
Mamluks
was make
kind of
money.
just abandoned everything.
They were trying to get find some treasures.
Of course they were finding. Why do you Egypt was is still the bread basket of Europe, at least. I don't know what Nasser's doing nowadays, but like, not Nasser, Sisi is doing nowadays, but like, it's a very popular place, and most civilizations have like a fascination with Egypt. Rome did. You saw that podcast. They had obelisks, they had tombs, they had mummifications too during the Roman times. And so when Napoleon went and pretty much like rediscovered Egypt for Europe, that's when all the gold rush started for like not only categorizing it, taking the treasures, but also creating Egyptology as we know it. And then the British kind of just robbed them of everything they found there.
Yeah. And then, you know, and then they just made up this history that the Egyptians built the pyramids. It's cool.
I mean, it's not really made up, and they were far from the first people if they did, you know?
Well, they definitely weren't the first.
All right. So what do you think that really happened?
People for thousands of years said the Egyptians built the Great Pyramids.
My thing is, it's like they had 1,000-ton stones.
I mean, did you see the process of how they make the obelisks?
How did they make the
They
obelisk?
straight up carved it out of stone. Those huge obelisks. It weren't like stones packed together. It was one big continuous stone. And there's leftovers from quarries of them carving out giant obelisks.
So what happened? How come they couldn't get them out of the quarries?
Because usually sometimes a mistake was made and the rock would crack and they would just abandon it.
How come they just couldn't fix the mistake if they were so...
Because again, an obelisk was a continuous giant stone. There was no fixing.
But here's the thing too, is they would go thousands of miles to get these different type of stones.
Yeah, they would. That's called finding a quarry.
It's like, why though?
Because that's the stone they used.
Like they traveled 500 miles to get a slab of granite just so they could slab it on the pyramids.
People travel thousands of miles over to Jerusalem to find a piece of petrified rock and say it's a true cross.
Bro, I mean, like, I like, if you're never gonna get it. That's the thing. You're never, like, it's never gonna like click for you.
Yeah,
like that's the problem.
I know.
There's like,
why would I believe in these lizard people?
I mean, hey, you know, I never said that lizard people built the pyramids. I never said that.
Who do you think built the pyramids?
It was probably humans from like 20,000 years ago.
How? If humans from 20,000 years ago built the pyramids and they were able to build the pyramids far easier than like anyone from like 2,000 years ago, they should have left something else, shouldn't you?
They did.
Don't you think?
Pyramids.
They left the pyramids.
It should have been more. How come they couldn't survive? What happened to them?
They left the Sphinx.
The Sphinx, that's it? Just the Sphinx and pyramids is the apex of their civilization?
They left Göbekli Tepe.
Mm-hmm. Which is nowhere near the grandeur of the pyramid.
I mean, like, dude, we only excavated.
I'm just
5%.
saying, like, dude, if you could build the Great Pyramid, where's the lasting effects? Because ancient people sketched the pyramids and they look great, dude. They had the limestone covering, supposedly the gold cap. If it was 20,000 years ago, do you think it could have been worn a lot? In 2,000 years, the pyramids are pretty much destroyed. But it survived for 20,000 years, but the last 2,000 is when it started to feel it?
First of all, it probably got destroyed from the heavy rain.
No, it mostly got destroyed from people trying to build Cairo. But at the same time, they had 20,000 year gap of other.
I don't.
Yes. Cairo is built mostly Cairo's early foundations is pyramid stone.
All limestone.
Not just limestone; it's mostly pyramid stone. Cairo was built for somehow, you know. The pyramids used to be smooth.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know.
I'm just saying, like, it's just wild to me. If they're so old, why did they look so great during the Roman times? But then after the Roman times ended,
They didn't look so great during the Roman
they
times.
did look great during the Roman times. They had they had gardens, fairies.
You're telling me
Egypt was beautiful.
Well,
No.
don't you think that maybe if they stumbled upon these and they maintained them and they worshipped them because they didn't know where they came from, to me that makes more sense.
It's possible, but I'm just saying, like, if it was built, if it was so old, why did it look so great?
It never did.
But they had plazas, boats were buried, they had temples next to it. They had so much, and the design was relatively the same. And I'm just saying, like, how can it be like 20,000 years the pyramids still look pretty good, but then in the last 1,000 years or so, that's when it, ended up in the dilapidated state it is now.
Well, I mean,
and in 20,000 years, not only
the culture kind of changed, right? Like you even said it, like the Greeks kind of started to influence the Egyptians, and the Egyptians kind of lost their identity.
They still looked great around the Greek and Roman times.
Yeah, but then they stopped caring about them.
I'm just saying, like, don't you think there would have been a little bit more weather? Like, don't you think it would have been like, for me, it's just like you have a thing for something that lives for 1,000 years and it only gets rushed and it only starts getting rough like in the last 1,000.
Well, it don't, like you said it yourself. They started robbing from themselves to build other stuff because they stopped caring about them.
But why didn't the early Egyptians do that when they discovered it?
Because
they had to build civilization somehow, right?
They worshipped them.
I'm just saying. The timeline doesn't add up to me. Like, there should be weather. The hieroglyphics and paintings in sign are just now getting worn out to the point they have to close the inner sanctum of the pyramids.
Like, if they were covered in limestone, that was probably a protective layer, and they would probably replace it pretty often, right? To maintain that structure.
It wasn't a protective layer. It was just to make it look grand.
Yeah, but it
was just a part of the pyramid.
Yeah, but I'm saying it still protected the inner structure of the pyramid.
But then
once they removed it all,
if you're saying they replace it, then how come because it's generally the same, it came from generally the same quarry of how they built the pyramid. So they're still doing the whole removing thousands of pounds of block far away up and have to go up the pyramid.
But so you made it seem that you make it
doing the same thing.
The structure's already there though.
But you still have to figure out how you're going to put the limestone up there, right?
But isn't it easier if those exterior limestones? I mean, there's not as many of them.
They're still massive,
but they're not as heavy. And they only had to move, a fraction of the amount of them.
It's still a whole lot, and you're still running into the same problem. But you still have to quarry them. You still have to drag them very far away, and you still need to ramp them up somehow.
Yeah, but they're not as heavy. They're not as big.
You're still running into the same problems at the end of the day, though. Especially if they don't know how if they didn't know how the pyramids were built, how were they able to do that? Why can't they just grow, get it, progression, and just do a bigger block, what's like the inner sanctum of the pyramid?
Because they didn't do that.
How do you know?
There was no progression.
How do you?
The progression was based off of the
egression.
For some reason, somehow they degraded all the way back to mastabas.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened because there was a loss of information. Because they couldn't copy and paste.
Apparently, they could copy and paste enough to put an outer layer on it.
But you're just replacing stuff. You can pull one off.
You're still
and be like,
finding
okay,
the same
I need to do
problems, though. You still got to ramp it up. You still got to quarry it. You still got to drag it 1,000 miles away. I know we're being generous on that, and it's still heavy, continuous, huge blocks.
But you don't have to do that many of them.
It's still a lot.
But all you have to do is look at them and be like, okay, this is how I need to carve this, and I can just replace it.
I'm just
saying, click, boom.
If you can't do that, how could you not upgrade to creating your own pyramid eventually? If so, how come they didn't?
Because the interior of them is insane.
I'm just saying, like, if you at least do that,
isn't
it like feasible that you can progress to create your own pyramid? Not necessarily at the size of the Great Pyramid.
I'm not saying that they didn't.
If so, why never they? How come they never did
pyramids? I'm not. I think the smaller ones they probably did do. I think it's the Great Pyramids that they didn't do. And then you see them trying
most of their pyramids have lasted, and it's generally the same progression design.
But then also, the amount of time that they claim to have built the Great Pyramids in doesn't make any sense.
I mean,
it doesn't line up.
I mean, it does line up. They were building they started with mastaba, started stacking the mastabas, creating the pyramids. They decided, hey, the pyramids aren't worth it anymore, and that's when they started building the Valley of the Kings.
Do you know anybody that believes that timeline?
Most people actually do.
I would beg to differ.
Yeah,
I don't know anybody that actually goes along with that.
I don't know what to tell you. Where did the Valley of the Kings come from then?
I'm just saying, who goes?
Do you even know what the Valley of the Kings are?
Everybody knows the Great Pyramid is one of the first pyramids. Everybody knows that. How do you not know that?
Most people agree the first is the Step Pyramid.
And they just deteriorate. Great Pyramid starts with the Great Pyramid, and then they deteriorate.
As no one and no scholarly person is going to agree with you on that. No one.
I thought
most people agree the first pyramid is the Step Pyramid.
Then why is there such a mystery over it?
Dude, there's a mystery on anything that's ancient, really.
I mean, like...
Agree to disagree.
Dude.
I bet you don't even know who masterminded the Step Pyramid. It's a pretty famous name. He was in a movie.
Imhotep?
Oh my god, good job, dude. You know who the polyglot is. I'm actually surprised.
Most people know who Imhotep is, though.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, is it really him, or did somebody was like, hey, let's just give him this, let's just put a name with this thing.
It's just like throw out Imhotep sounds feasible enough. He was the ancient version of like John Doe.
Because they just start making stuff up in the timelines.
And where did the Step Pyramid come from, man? Oh, yeah, you're just gonna say it's what's the opposite of progression?
Digression?
Regression?
That's what I was thinking.
Regression?
Right. Degradation, I guess. The degradation.
Degradation?
I just don't understand why it's like so unbelievable that they started with the Step Pyramid and just kept getting better.
I mean, that would make sense, right?
It makes a lot of sense.
It would make a lot of sense, but it didn't happen in this case.
Why?
Because it was I'm telling you how everybody else is looking at it, right?
Who's everyone else?
Most people that look at Egypt.
Most people look at Egypt by what most scholarly opinions are, which is it started with this.
You're telling me.
I'm telling you, most people agree it started with Mastaba, Step Pyramid, and then the Great Pyramid.
And I'm telling you,
and then the Valley of the Kings was the latest.
And I'm telling you, you're absolutely wrong, and that you are.
And you have absolutely no reason to believe that.
There's no bells that go off in your head. That's your problem. You just believe what they tell you, and there's no red flags are going off in your head.
Yeah, dude, because it makes sense. I don't know what to tell you.
And then we would always just disagree.
I know, dude. You know more than everybody.
I didn't say I knew. I didn't say that.
Apparently, you definitely know more than most scholarly opinion agrees on.
No, it's
apparently you know something they don't.
No, I'm just saying have a thought.
I do have a thought.
Have your
I've been thinking about pyramids since I was a kid.
And then you should learn how to cultivate your own thinking, called critical thinking.
Yeah.
And think, oh my God.
Okay. So
I'm
lizard people.
Establish my own thought.
So lizard people. Is that critically thinking?
They're putting down my throat.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
If I agreed it was lizard people, would you agree I'm critically thinking? Maybe if I watch a good episode of Joe Rogan, is that critically thinking?
Oh, hold on. Who doesn't watch Joe? Doesn't Joe Rogan pull in more audience?
I know, man. Only critical thinkers watch Joe Rogan.
Whatever.
I know.
Joe Rogan puts in more. I mean, he actually
No,
puts
I
on
agree, dude.
experts
Everyone who's on
his
Rogan
channel.
just knows what they're
I mean,
talking.
like,
I
that
take
would
them at
make
face
sense.
value too.
I definitely think that would make sense. Hey, let's bring in an expert and we can have a 3-hour conversation instead of a 5-minute
Expert, understand? Yeah, like Graham Hancock.
Oh, he's been he's been to Egypt more times than you have. He's probably been to Egypt more times than your.
And you know who actually lives in Egypt? Zahi Hawass, and you don't want to believe him.
Doesn't do you think
he's been to Egypt more times than Graham Hancock? You don't want to believe him.
Do you think he is not susceptible to corruption?
Is Graham Hancock susceptible to corruption? He seems to have found his niche.
He's an investigative journalist. He's an investigating journalist actually doing.
And Zahi Hawass is the head of Egyptology.
And do you think that is not susceptible to
and you think Graham Hancock isn't susceptible to clout chasing?
And do you think that your Zahi Hawass is right or wrong?
I think he's more right than Graham Hancock.
I think, dude, not everything is based on Graham Hancock. I get most of mine from John Anthony West.
Why should I not believe Zahi Hawass, dude? Why should I not believe him?
John Anthony West.
Why should I not believe Zahi Hawass? Why should I not believe contemporary historians? Why should I not believe most archaeologists in the world? Why do I have to listen to? Why do I have to believe fringe people over them?
Everything about Egypt is extremely corrupt. Everybody knows this, except for you. For some reason, except for you, everybody knows this. Everybody.
This you throw around this everybody a lot. I don't know who this everybody you're talking about. Who's this everybody, dude?
A British guy from the 1800s tell everybody that he knows what he's talking about in ancient Egypt, and you just eat it up.
It wasn't British guy. It was a whole university, dude, like Oxford and Cambridge.
There's no curiosity of like, hey, wait a minute, let me question this. You don't question.
I question many things, dude, but there's no point in questioning this.
Curiosity.
There's no point in questioning this.
You're just going to be like, oh, Zahi Hawass, I'm just going to take everything that he says and not question everything. That's what you do.
Apparently, you listen to everybody. You just follow what the mob believes. This quote unquote everybody can't be wrong.
This is the problem with mainstream things. This is the problem with mainstream.
Now you're just trying to be contrarian, dude. Just because it's mainstream doesn't mean it's wrong, dude. You're just being a contrarian.
There's zero red flags. Keep going with the mainstream, and you're gonna realize that mainstream is gonna get.
What's a mastaba, Scott? What's a mastaba right now? What's a mastaba?
It's like the first step pyramid. It's like the.
It's not a pyramid. It's not a pyramid. You don't even know the progression, dude, and you're trying to lecture me.
It's the first step.
I have been taking nonstop. I have taken way more classes on Egypt than you ever have. And why are you lecturing me just because you listen to a 2-hour podcast?
I just know it's the first step.
You don't even know what it is.
I know
they have a mastaba in the Field Museum here in Chicago.
Going up, and then they just keep going up.
It didn't even go up. It went down.
All I'm saying is that you keep following the mainstream. Right? You don't question anything, and they're wrong.
And I know. I know. You watched the podcast, and they knew the real truth.
Able to question things. You should be able to question things, but you don't have this sensibility where you can see things and be like, "Oh, alarms and whistles, red flag."
But you do. You figured it out. You figured it out.
You don't have that sensibility.
Yeah, but you figured it out, man. You cracked the code, man, without even stepping foot in Egypt. How did you do it?
Inside of you, as a human being, you should have this curiosity.
Yeah, dude, I know. I hear you.
You do not.
I know, but you cracked the code, man. I just don't have the genius level of intellect. You cracking a code of a place you've never even stepped foot on. I mean, dude, maybe if I had more sensibility to listen to like a podcast or something, maybe I'd have it figured out too, I guess.
I can tell.
But I understand, dude. I mean, like, I have Egyptology books, but reading that's mainstream. Why should I listen to that, dude? Just because they have evidence, you know?
And that is a big problem.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
No, when you're being
what podcast would you recommend for expertise, the true expertise in all this? What about Lex Friedman? Would I get the truth from there?
Don't throw Lex Friedman under the bus. What are you talking about?
Because
I know that's where he's getting his information from.
Just listen to CNN. Any expert, he doesn't.
I don't even watch CNN, dude. Like you're just
you have zero.
For someone who doesn't like labels so much, you honestly like to label people, and it's so fascinating to watch.
Kills me. Why are you so easily being bamboozled? It's just
easily bamboozled. Someone who spent half his life studying something is just so bamboozled. I should listen to the guy who figured it out, 2 years ago?
Oh my god.
Who just found out it existed 4 years ago?
Zahi Hawass is just a douchebag.
At least we can all agree on that. But is he like the arbiter of wrongness around Egypt?
Oh, yes, he's the problem.
Yeah, that's not who it was.
Well, he does. Well, he has an interest to the Egyptian culture to make sure it remains Egyptian and classified that way. Because he's a government employee at the end of the day.
Look, yes, he does.
And he supported Mubarak, which was a big thing. He's also kind of abused his position to make a lot of money with his books and his clothing lines and things like that. He's a pretty corrupt dude.
It doesn't mean he's wrong, though, in a lot of these things. These are a lot of things most scholars...
But you start to lose credibility.
Again, not everything that we know about Egypt has come from Zahi Hawass, first of all. And not to mention, there's not really much evidence around the studies itself. Zahi Hawass is just a focal point, a boogeyman to blame. Hey, maybe everything we don't know, maybe everything we think about Egypt is wrong, pointing at Zahi Hawass. But he's not. He's just the head of Egyptology. He's not the focal point. He's not the guy who started.
He does have a vested interest in making sure that it sticks to the right timeline because it remains Egyptian.
So how come we aren't allowed to go there now and then have our own theories or look at
people go there all the time with their own theories?
And they get bashed by people like you because you think what Zahi Hawass is God.
Again, Zahi Hawass is just a boogeyman, bro. He's just a boogeyman to you. He's not a boogeyman. He's the head of Egyptology, but again, a lot of these, what we know, vastly predates him. You can say he's corrupt, probably is, but everything we know is vastly predates him. This is knowledge we've had for over 100 years.
Didn't I say that though? Didn't I say the British guy in the 1800s came over?
What British guy, man?
Just shoved it down your throat.
Yeah.
Just shoved it down your throat.
I'm not tracking this British guy.
Yeah. It's like
I don't even know what he's talking about.
Who's the guy that it's like a British or French guy?
But I would just, my argument would be that he has a vested interest in sticking to the narrative and has a vested interest in trying to shut down alternative views or studies because they have full control over it.
He's doing a really bad job of shutting down alternative stuff. It's permeating everywhere.
No, but no, he can shut it down because he can restrict who has access. He restricts all that kind of stuff. And when you can sell yourself as the head of Egyptology of Egypt, you can shut down a lot of things and narratives and just be like, oh, no credibility. No, the guy's wackadoo.
But that true is even if all these other theories are coming at it everywhere, doesn't that give you a little rise of concern? Hey, maybe we're not being told the whole story, or maybe this is kind of doesn't a bell ring hey, maybe
90% of the a lot of the shit that comes out are just straight bullshit. They're all just theories and just of something someone saw and just made a whole story. One of the problems I hate most is people come with a conclusion and then do whatever they can to work back to that conclusion, even if it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, but you do it too.
No, I don't. I hardly I don't make that much claims without so much evidence.
Nobody has evidence. That's the problem.
So what should we believe, man? Should we believe what most people who dedicated their lives to believe, or should we believe what someone said on a podcast one day?
First of all, it's okay not to believe anything. It's okay. I mean, it's okay not to have the answer. We don't know. It's okay to say we
Then
don't.
why are you saying I'm wrong constantly?
Because we know for sure you're.
But you don't have the answer. So how do you know I'm wrong?
Because you
don't have the answer. How could you call me wrong?
Because there's too many questions. There's too many questions.
Apparently we don't know.
There's
but
too
we know
many
what's
questions.
wrong.
And my problem is that you're so right that there are no red flags in your head that's going off. That's saying maybe we're not right.
I know, man.
I'm saying
all I know is that
know.
I know because you have this idea of me in your head and you just want it to be true so bad.
What idea?
What you think you know how my mind works, but you don't.
I'm just going based off your Egyptian theory.
Yeah, because it makes sense, dude. But it doesn't mean all I do is drink CNN and just believe it. Like, what the fuck was that?
But you came at me first with Joe Rogan,
dude.
You came at me first with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, because you do watch Joe Rogan a lot. The difference is you do watch Joe Rogan. I didn't make anything up.
Joe Rogan gets more audience than CNN.
I'm not a fan of Lex. I don't watch CNN. I didn't make a claim of something you didn't do.
Why don't you like
Lex?
Watch? He just has meaningful conversation.
I just don't care for him. He's just not for me, that's all.
Yeah, but I don't know why you're trying to slander him.
I'm not slandering him. I just couldn't come up with another podcast, so I was like, oh, Lex Friedman.
So you don't like smart people asking smart questions trying to get the truth.
Yeah, that's why I don't listen to professors and shit.
Name a professor. Who do you listen to?
That's all he was is a professor.
Does he still profess?
I mean, he still has the title.
Name a different one.
I gotta actually think. I haven't thought about Egypt in a while.
Yeah, exactly. Because
sorry, I can't think off the top of my head, dude. I mean, do you know any professors you listen to off the top of your head?
That is your gatekeeper. Shut your mouth. That's your gatekeeper. You don't really know anything comes.
I know, dude. You're right, dude. I bow to your expertise of Egypt, dude. I bow to your expertise. I spent half my life thinking about Egypt, but you listen to a podcast one day and you just outranked me immediately.
God forbid you think.
I know, dude. You need to start lecturing. I don't know why you're not doing this.
Actually, I am lecturing.
Oh man, I can't wait to listen to that.
I mean, I got more followers than Zahi Awaz. It's crazy.
I bet you do.
We're actually going to Egypt next week.
Going to Egypt, yeah? Who's your favorite pharaoh that you can't wait to visit?
I don't believe in pharaohs.
You don't believe in pharaohs?
Just
tell me a pharaoh you like.
Pharaoh.
You gotta believe in some pharaoh. Tell me a pharaoh you like.
I could say a pharaoh Takhenaten.
You don't even know.
That's a real pharaoh, though.
Takhenaten?
Yep.
I think you're thinking of Tutankhamun.
Takhenaten. You never heard of Pharaoh Takhenaten?
Or Akhenaten. You're really convincing me over here, and I'm the dumb one, I guess.
Who's your favorite pharaoh?
That's a tough one. I would say either Tutmos III. I like Hatshepsut a lot. Seti the second is a good one. I don't really care for Tutankhamun. I like his father, Akhenaten. I think he was very interesting. Amenhotep the third, which was his grandfather, actually.
I like Amenhotep the second.
Yeah, what'd he do?
I don't know. Scott seems more like a Ramses guy.
A Ramesses, huh? Which one? The first or the second? You seem like a second guy to me.
I would say the second for sure.
Bro. That Egypt is nobody likes that Egypt. That Egypt is stupid with the pharaohs.
Yeah.
We're like the old Egypt.
Do you like the very first pharaoh?
I like the Egypt with the kings list.
Okay. Sure.
Did Egypt not have a kings list?
The king's list is the pharaohs, man.
The pharaoh list?
They have a whole timeline on a wall of the pharaohs.
I don't even know where we're going with this. I think it's probably time to to probably wrap it up.
Hit the old dusted trail.
Yeah.
I gotta go pick up Vivian.
Have fun with that. I'll see you around Saturday.
All right.
All right.
That's all the time we have left. Thank you for listening to Bag Society. This is Jay signing off.
And this is Pharaoh S.
This is C Money.
Thanks for watching.
Later.